Hi guys, this is Zangiefsgym. This video I'm going to teach you guys how to punish Ken's Shuryuken with an SPD, with a screw pile driver. So I've already got this set up so that so Ken will just literally just go right into that move. I've got him set up on slot 1. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that on in a second. But just before I do, I'm going to have in the description of this video, I'm going to have in the description a link to my training, 2 training videos based on, I talk about how to set up a training dummy to perform special attacks or combos, and I actually show there like step by step how to actually get Ken set up so he can do something such as a Hadoken, or he can do his Shuryuken. So go ahead and refer to that video, which I'll leave in the description so you guys can check it out. Refer to that video if you want to know how to set Ken up to do Shuryukens, so you can practice punishing against that with an SPD. But I'm going to show you guys, I've already been through that so you guys can check that out. But I just go right into the options menu and I am going to get him started on the playback for the Shuryuken, which I have in recording slot 1. So as soon as I turn it on, we're going to go into it, and he is going to begin as soon as I leave this menu. Just before I start, I do want to say that basically I'm just going to go right through the video. I'm going to show you how to block the Shuryuken and do the SPD as a punish. But I will give some tips and suggestions to go along with that. But if all you care about mostly is just getting the timing down and just going through that, I'll try to show you here as best as I can. I'm not always going to get it right, but that's okay. I'll just give you guys the right idea to head you in the right direction. Okay, with that said, I'm going to restart battle. I've got it set for a 2-second delay. He's going to do the Shuryuken, so I'm going to let him come near me. Okay, block it, and SPD. Sorry about that first one. You can double dash, go right in, wait for it, and counter him again. Or you don't have to dash in, you could just wait out here. I've got him set up, he'll keep doing it anyway. And then you're going to counter him with the SPD. As soon as he gets close to the landing, that's when you want to lock in the SPD. Basically as soon as I'm done blocking the actual attack, on his fall down part, that's when I'm actually inputting it. And sometimes I get a little bit ahead of it, and I actually jump and do the air SPD. That's fine too. I mean, mission accomplished. You land either one. In this case, I just want to be a little more patient and just land that SPD. So I'm not super practiced on this, guys. I make mistakes. I'm just learning this stuff as well as you guys are, and I'm practicing it. But this is how to do it. When he does the Shuryuken, on his way down, you want to already be inputting the commands for the 360. And just to pause here for a second so I can talk to you guys. You don't actually have to do the 360 to pull off an SPD. You can do about a 270 roughly, between 240 and 270. A 240 won't quite work, but if you're close to the 270 mark, 270 degrees of the circle, so that's like 3/4 of a circle, that's enough to trigger the SPD. Just press the punch button and you've got the SPD down and you're golden. So what I recommend in this case, since you want to block this Shuryuken, you want to hold back and want to hold left away from him to block the Shuryuken. What I do is I start the SPD from the back position, and I go counterclockwise to forward all the way up, and just about when I get to the up direction arrow where he's gonna jump, I hit the punch button just before I get to the point where Zangief is gonna jump. That's how I'm landing this SPD. You could do it different ways. You could kick the analog forward and go clockwise. Either way, it's going to be the same thing. You only need about that 3/4 circle to land an SPD. So let's go back and see it a couple more times. Hold it back. Okay, then I'm moving forward. Hit the punch button. Got my SPD. I just did the hard punch there, so I got the maximum damage. Oh, missed it. There's the there's the light punch. You can tell he doesn't do as much damage. He doesn't go up. I don't have the damage input put on just for the sake of focus here. I didn't want any distractions. Damage is not important here. Again, just punishing the Shuryuken with an SPD. It's going to start with the block and go into the SPD. Again, you only need about 3/4 of that actual 360 to land the SPD. You know, if you land it wrong, you'll jump like I did there. And that's because I didn't hit the punch in time and I went too far up on the analog stick. Again, so you know, this definitely takes some practice. And, but that's the whole thing. With this training mode, you're able to do that. But the key is in punishing the Shuryuken, you want to start as soon as he stops hitting you. As soon as he stops hitting you, and he goes above your body, that's when you want to start that close to 360 rotation, that 270 rotation, we'll just call it. You want to start that 270 degree circle so that by the time he's landing, you're pressing the punch button and Zangief is grabbing him. That's how you're going to get that to land. The timing, you can just kind of work on that. You'll get the timing as you practice, but that's the general gist of it. That's how I do them. I hold back and then I rotate counterclockwise until I'm almost direction pad, almost face up, and press the punch button. Again, I'll probably end starting back and moving counterclockwise forward. I end somewhere probably right up, like northeast direction. That's about where I end when I'm pressing the punch button. You know, if you go a little bit further, your finger will tend to kind of do that. You might move it a little bit further. That's okay. I basically am hitting the punch button right about the northeast direction, or up and right. By the time I get the control stick top right, bam, I'm hitting the punch button at that point, and I'm grabbing Ken. But the idea is you begin that rotation, you begin that 270 degrees rotation of the control stick. You begin that right as he's finished his punch, and Zangief is no longer under fear of being hit from the Shuryuken because you've already blocked all of it. You can just about see that point. You can just about see that point where he just gets past me, and I begin now, and I was just a little early now, just a little early now. Every time I try to say it, I don't get it. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so that's how you punish the Shuryuken with an SPD. As he's landing, as he's coming to the ground, that gives you time to do your 270 degree motion and hit the punch button just as he's landing. He's not going to escape that. Now, you can close out this video if you don't want to see any more, but I'm going to do one follow-up tip. Okay, well, I'm going to do one follow-up tip, which is when after you block and do the SPD, you punish with the SPD, you can take what I call a 50-50 gamble. Dash in, okay, you dash in next to Ken before he wakes up, and you can stay crouched and blocking, and that's probably the safest position you can be in because it's a multi-cover type move or type action. You cover multiple different options of what Ken could possibly do, and you're in a position of blocking almost all of it. The only thing he can probably do if you're blocked is he can do a wake-up grapple, which you won't be ready for. But just for the sake here, I want to show you guys that you can block the Shuryuken, punish him with an SPD, but then you can dash forward and be ready to do another SPD as soon as Ken wakes up. Now, I will say right up front, that is not guaranteed that you're going to land that SPD because he can Shuryuken. Again, a lot of opponents will, if they know you might do that, they will wake up with an EX Shuryuken, and that will nail you if you're trying to SPD him. He will win that little shuffle. Okay, so you are taking a risk, you are taking a gamble. But with some opponents, I've found that they're not really expecting that. They're not really ready to deal with that. Or maybe they don't even know how to deal with that. And again, the biggest thing is they're just not expecting me to dash in and be ready to immediately grab them and do another SPD. Like, first of all, a lot of geefs aren't even that good at doing that, probably. And I, chiefly, was one of them. That's something I've had to practice. But it can be a really good follow-up, and it can be a surprise attack as long as you don't overdo it. Like if you do it a bunch of times on the same Ken you're fighting, you know, say his name is Tom for simplicity's sake, you know, Tom's going to get kind of used to you doing that, and he's going to be like, I know Zangief's gym is going to pop another SPD off. I'm just going to Shuryuken him when I wake up instead of letting him do the SPD. So he's going to find a way to counter it. So I would say maybe do that once. Don't repeat it back to back to back to back, because most likely your opponent's going to figure it out and he's going to counter you. So maybe just do it once as a surprise attack. And if you land it, you got 2 SPDs in a row, which is really sweet, considering you just countered his Shuryuken and managed to get 2 SPDs off on him. And before I perform that, I just want to lastly say, when you do the initial block of Ken's Shuryuken and you counter with an SPD, you can do that with a hard punch. That's fine, but when you dash in and try to SPD upon Ken's wake up, you want to make sure you do that SPD with a light punch, because it has a better range, so you're more likely to land it, especially if he wakes up and starts walking backwards or holding block. If he starts moving backwards, walking away from you, the light SPD has a better chance of actually scooping him up anyway and putting him in the SPD. Okay, that's enough talk, so I'm actually going to show that, and then I'll end up this video. Thanks, guys, for watching. Okay, this is Shuryuken block. Punish SPD. Now I'm going to dash in and try to do the quick SPD when he wakes up. Ready? Okay. Oh, nope, we didn't get it. Okay, let's do it again. So I'm going to take a couple tries. No, I can't do it. Sometimes I mess it up, though. That's a good flip. There it is. Okay. So you just saw it. So that's 2 SPDs, and the damage is really good. It actually, it looks like the damage does not connect. It's not a combo. So, so the damage will not be nerfed. You'll get the full effect. If you did the hard punch on his Shuryuken, if you punish his Shuryuken with a hard punch SPD, you got 220 points of damage, and then did the followed up with the light SPD upon Ken's wake up, you get another 180 damage. That puts you at 400 damage you just did to Ken, and you can see how much of a punch that took out of Ken's health. That's a pretty substantial amount of damage, just from countering his Shuryuken in the first place. So that's going to put him in a bad shape. Now, that's if you pull it off. I mean, again, you don't know when your opponent is going to do that. You don't know when Ken is going to use a Shuryuken. But the more you practice actually punishing it with the SPD, and as you get better with Zangief as a whole, you get used to blocking a little bit more. If you have to block with Zangief, you'll notice that. If you haven't already noticed that already, you have to block a lot. So that's okay. If you get good at doing that and you get good at punishing by counterattacking with the SPD, then you're going to be in a lot better position to handle opponents, because you're going to have an SPD up your sleeve that they may not expect you to be able to pull off, which is pretty cool, right? Who doesn't want to surprise their opponent? So one more time, get the SPD and do this dash in SPD, and there you go. Alright guys, well that will do it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. Hope that helps you guys to punish Ken's Shuryuken by blocking and countering with an SPD. Thanks for watching. Take care.